Hey guys, welcome to day 4 of Halloweek. Today we're going to be doing some more decor, not really witchy, well I guess technically witchy. It's a candle. I'm going to make a jack-o'-lantern candle, and witches have a lot of candles, so I guess you can consider it witchy. I guess it could go up there with all the other Halloweek candles from previous years. Anyway, I'm going to be dipping a candle and then carving it and making it into a jack-o'-lantern. It's pretty easy, it's pretty fun, it's pretty quick. So let's get started. Here is the base candle that I'm going to be covering with more wax. Ideally, I would have used a black candle, but I was using what I had already, so red it is. And actually, all of this Halloweek I was using stuff that I had already. Like I mentioned, I'm redoing this room. I found a bunch of crap that I could use for projects, like the clay for the incense burners. I found the candle that I'm going to be using for this, the base candle. I found another candle to become the melted wax. And actually, you may have noticed I used a similar candle in a Halloweek in previous years to make a bleeding skull candle. If you guys remember that one, let me know. That is probably my all-time favorite Halloweek project. I think that it just turned out so cool. Anyway, I had an extra red candle and it's just been kind of floating around in my craft room, and I figured it would be perfect for today's video. And actually, it turned out better than I thought it would. I'm going to be dipping it into orange wax, and then I'm going to carve away the orange wax to reveal the red core. So to make the orange wax, I used this old white candle that I had. Like I said, I just used stuff around my craft room and an assortment of yellow and orange crayons to color it. I cut the candle up, making sure to remove the wick. We won't be needing that anymore. And then I added the crayons. I poured the wax chunks into a clean aluminum can for melting. Initially I was going to melt the wax in this glass, but the candle doesn't fit, and it actually fit perfectly into this aluminum can. And then I thought, if I melted it in a can that I was going to throw away anyway, that would be better because it'll help with cleanup. I wouldn't have to clean up a bunch of melted wax from inside of some glass. I could just toss the aluminum can whenever I was done. So yeah, easy peasy. I ended up getting pretty clever, and I decided to use some locking pliers to help move the can around. Since it's metal, it holds heat really well, and the pliers act as a nice handle that I could grab onto and that I can move the can around as the wax melts. To melt the wax, I used a water bath. I put the can into a pot and then put water in the pot, and then I didn't think about how the pliers are heavy, and putting water into the pan made the can shift, and then everything fell, and anyway, so I dumped the can out, I made sure everything was dry, and then I started again. And you know what? The can isn't even freaking hot yet because we haven't started melting, so I could just put this in with my hands and it was fine. I only really need the pliers when everything's melted and the can's hot and I need to move it from the stove to my workspace. So anyway, simmering water, melt the wax, yada yada yada. While I waited for that to melt, I prepped the candle for dipping. There's not much to grip onto here, so I tied a twist tie onto the tiny little bit of wax that's sticking out to lengthen it and to give me something to hold on to. Perfect. There's no way that this is going to fail. Once the wax was nice and melted, I removed the can from the water bath with the pliers and got to dipping. And you know what? The pliers work perfectly moving the can from A to B. And you know what? The candle fit just perfectly into this can. And you know what? The twist tie didn't freaking work. And you know what? The pliers came in clutch in this moment. And you know what? If you're dipping a candle into wax over and over again, it gets thicker and thicker. So if you're using something that it just perfectly fits into in the beginning, suddenly it's going to be way too big to fit into that container after a couple of dips. I wanted to dip it in a couple times to get a decent covering so that it would be really noticeable when the jack-o'-lantern was carved, but since it started getting too big, the candle started scraping on the side of the can and the wax on the side of the candle was scraping off, and it was noticeably thinner. You can see there's like a freaking ring around it. So I scrapped the idea of not having to clean up extra wax, and I just poured this wax into a jar that would fit the candle comfortably. And then I dipped the candle. I didn't have enough wax to do a full just like straight on dip, so I had to do a sort of tilt and roll motion to cover the ball completely, but it worked out pretty well. And now the candle is covered nicely. I poured the extra wax back into the can. There's actually a decent amount left in there. I'm tempted to save it to make candles later or something. I don't know. As you all know, I am a craft hoarder and it makes me sad to get rid of craft materials, so I'm really tempted to hold on to this wax. If you guys have any ideas of what I could make, leave them down below. If I save this wax, maybe I'll make something out of it. So a quick tip for cleaning wax from glass jars: pour boiling water into said jar and let it sit until the water is cooled. The wax should melt and float to the top and then solidify, leaving a puck of wax at the top like so. Repeat as necessary. So back to the workbench. Here is my candle. Here is the extra wax that I'm probably gonna save, let's be real. I even saved that puck of wax from the glass jar. I just broke it up and added it to the can. You can still kind of see where the orange wax layer is a little bit thinner around the middle of the candle, but it's not too bad. It's definitely better than it was before. If I were to be doing this again, I'd be sure to use a container that can more than fit the candle that I intend to dip. Anyway, it's carving time. Ideally, I'd be using a full X-Acto knife, but as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm moving stuff around my craft room and reorganizing, and it's just like a hectic mess right now. So my X-Acto knife is nowhere to be seen. Actually, I have a couple of them and I have no idea where they are. But thankfully, I have extra blades, so I could use them for this project. I drew on my design with a marker, and then once I was happy with it, I got to cutting. This was pretty satisfying. I cut into the orange layers until I hit the red base, and the orange wax just flaked off. For the most part, anyway. I did need to help it along in some spots, but generally it came up pretty easily. So you can see that the red actually doesn't look too bad here. I was worried that the orange and red would be way too close in color and then it would kind of ruin the effect of the carved pumpkin, but in the end the red looks a little darker in relation to the orange wax, so it actually looks pretty good. And here's how my little candle guy turned out. I love it. I think it's so cute. And now to test the candleness of it. So cute! I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a Q&A, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I already filmed it. Hopefully by this time it's already edited and uploaded and ready to be turned public. Either that or I'm furiously editing right now. Who knows? So anyway, thank you for checking out today's video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.